coming up on the sports side.
I loved our effort. I loved our attitude. I loved our toughness and our competitive spirit to try to finish the game.
Really good defense. That's one of the better groups I've played in my 9 years. It's tough. They make everything difficult.
You cherish these moments, especially coming off of 3 losses. All the work that we put in this week. It just feels good when you get rewarded with a win.
You're listening to the Sports Side, a part of the Sports Side Media Network.
Welcome into another edition of the Sports Hype right here on the Sports Hype Media Network, your home for latest sports news updates. I'm Walter Thompson. A victorious moment for the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday, notching their first victory under Josh McDaniels as their head coach. This was a big one because we didn't know how soon or how far this one was going to come down the line. We were staring 0-4 in the face, and 0-5 wasn't too far behind. And when you're talking about 0-4, 0-5, you have to have a serious conversation about making a change in head coach. I don't care how early it is in a coach's tenure. 0-4, 0-5, you can lose a football team real quick. So it was very important that the Raiders notched that victory on Sunday, and they did it in an impressive manner, running the football, something that we've criticized that coaching staff on their play calling earlier in the season as far as running the ball. Look, Josh Jacobs had him a day yesterday, a career day for Josh Jacobs, 28 carries, 144 yards, and 2 touchdowns, a long of 43. That's what we expect from Josh Jacobs. We expect him to carry the load. We expect him to go out there and run the football and allow the game to come to him, and that's exactly what he did yesterday. And Josh McDaniels spoke about going into that game with the mindset of trying to be physical and run the ball against that very good Denver Broncos defense.
We kind of had the mindset we wanted this to be a physical game and leaned on Josh and a running game a little bit more than what we have and really established that, I thought. And, our goal was to try to make it that kind of game.
As the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Josh McDaniels had to know. He had to know that Josh Jacobs was a weapon. He had to know that that was something that he could lean on when he came in there. The film don't lie. You look at the film from last year, the film from the year before last, his film from college. You knew what you were getting when you walked into the building out there in Henderson, Nevada, that you were inheriting Josh Jacobs at running back. And he fits the Patriot way. If you were to take Josh Jacobs and put him on the New England Patriots, he would fit right in. So I don't get why Josh McDaniels didn't find out until this game that Josh Jacobs could be used in that manner. You could talk about play calling. You could talk about what the defense was giving them. I don't want to hear any of that. You faced probably one of the best defenses in the league so far this year in the Denver Broncos, and he has his career day. Come on, man. Come on. You got to figure this stuff out a lot quicker. Not figuring this out cost us at least 2 wins. We could be 2-2 at the very least at this point if you figure out how to use Josh Jacobs a little bit quicker. He did give Josh Jacobs his credit, saying that, Josh Jacobs is one of the best backs he's ever coached.
He's one of the best runners that I've ever been around, and again, take that for what it's worth. I've been around some good ones, and he has a great ability to make yards after contact. He has a great ability to make yards. Even if there's not a whole lot there right away, he bounces the ball. And sometimes as a coach, when a guy bounces the ball, you say, no. But usually his turn out okay, makes good decisions, and he's taking care of the football.
I hate to keep harping on the Arizona game. I do. But those waning moments in overtime, just get a ball to Josh Jacobs. You said it right there. He takes care of the football. We probably don't fumble the ball there. You know what I'm saying? We were already in field goal range for the most part. Just get a ball to Josh Jacobs. He probably punches it through there, gets you a couple extra yards, and get Daniel Carson a good look at a game-winning field goal there. But that's in the past. We can't go back and change it, but it just makes you angry. It makes you angry that we had the weapon. We had him right there. We had the missing piece of the puzzle right there to get us maybe another win or two. But hey, it is what it is. But kudos to Josh Jacobs. Jacobs had him a good game, man. I'm proud of him because we know what he brings to the table. We know how many games he's closed out for the Las Vegas Raiders. And on Sunday, he showed up. He showed that if given the opportunity, given the carries, he can go out there and do what we need him to do. And this was Josh Jacobs moments after the 32-23 victory over the Denver Broncos, and what was going on in his mind as he was called upon to go out there and kind of close this game out.
Man, it felt good. I mean, I know when we had came to the end of the game, I knew we had another possession where we would need, to get a first down or do whatever we do. And I just went over there and talked to the guys. I'm like, this is what we do. I mean, we asked for this. The last few weeks we've been in the same position and it didn't go how we wanted it to. So, man, it felt good to, come together as a unit and accomplish the goal that we set out to do.
Look, he's in a contract year. He did himself proud, and I expect him to get another opportunity to show us again this season why he is the guy that he is. This could be a very interesting situation for the Raiders. I think if we can find a way to continue to run the ball like we did on Sunday and get Zamir White involved, because he did have a nice 22-yard run on Sunday, getting him involved in the game. He's a guy that could be very dangerous as well. And McDaniels was asked about getting Zamir White involved in the game a little bit more. And he said Zamir's time will come.
Zamir's ready to go. So it's just Josh has got to open the door and say, come on in, take a couple reps off me. And he hadn't done that a whole lot. And I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? So he's got that mentality and that physicality about him that he can handle that. So Zamir will have opportunities definitely going forward.
Look, we drafted these guys. We drafted a couple of running backs, and Zamir White being one of the best ones that we drafted. They get him involved, and we get Josh Jacobs going. Now you open up that passing game. You make the defenses respect you. Now that passing game becomes a lot more interesting with Devontae Adams. Hunter Renfrow comes back into the fold. Now we've seen the evolution of Mac Hollins. This team is starting to find some guys that maybe we didn't expect a lot from them this year. We're starting to get that from them. It's still early. We got the first victory out of the way. Now we just got to keep building. We know what DC can do. We know what Devontae Adams can do. But you got to run the ball to open that stuff up. I always say you got to run the ball in order to open up the passing game. And I think that's what we got to start to explore a little bit more. So we're going to see, man. It's going to get quite interesting here in the next couple of weeks to see how this offense evolves as the season goes on. And Derek Carr had to be excited about finally seeing the Josh Jacobs that he's known the last couple of years, to finally see Josh Jacobs get out there and stretch his legs a little bit, man. He had to be excited because now, like I just said, that opens up a lot. When Josh Jacobs is running wild, that opens up a lot for Derek Carr in offense. And he talked about Josh Jacobs and that offensive line finding their identity on Sunday.
Our offensive line, give them credit for opening those holes, and the fullbacks, tight ends. Some of those impacts that I saw when I would turn around were unbelievable, but some of the cuts Josh made today, I think there was one, a little zone run to the left, and he stopped and he spun and he went back up through it. That's different. He hit it and he knew that there was a hole there, so he spun back into it and had a huge run and had an acceleration out of it, which was special.
Special indeed, watching those big guys open up the holes and watching Jacobs get through there and running wild. It was beautiful. And Coach talked about, the offensive line and the progress they've made and getting a couple of guys back from injury.
I think that group is really fighting. They're getting better. It was good to have Andre back out there. He's obviously a calming influence, played a lot of football for us. So, I think we're making progress. We're heading in the right direction relative to trying to get to the point where we don't have to do as much of that. We'll continue to stress the competition, though. I think that's made them all better.
Now, a lot of people look at the overall performance of the offense. You say, oh, DC didn't have a great day. Well, he didn't have to. DC had a pretty good day. He went part of the course of what he usually does. He just didn't throw any touchdowns yesterday. He was 21 34, 188. I believe this is the first time this year he hasn't went over 200, and then he didn't throw a touchdown. He distributed the ball pretty well. Devontae Adams had 9 receptions for 101 yards, 13 targets, by the way. Matt Collins had 3 receptions for 33 yards, and he targeted him 5 times. Josh Jacobs had 5 receptions for 31 yards and 6 targets, and Darren Waller 3 for 24, 5 targets. Yeah, minus DC not getting the ball in the end zone. 188 yards passing on a day when your number one running back ran for 144 yards. I mean, can't really look at that and say, oh, the offense didn't look good. The offense did exactly what it needed to do. And what it needed to do was move the chains. And that's exactly what happened. Josh Jacobs kept the chains moving all day. I was impressed by Derek Carr's ability to run the ball. He did a really good job. He ran the ball very well. Derek Carr, 7 carries, 40 yards. The longest carry of the day for Derek Carr, 20 yards. And he talked about making more of an effort to run the ball when the opportunity presents itself.
It's something that, we used to emphasize. Grew, you would always tell me, run for 2 a game, and, just challenging me and all that kind of stuff. 2 first downs a game is what he would say. And so now with the way that we're playing, if they want to double everybody, which we've been talking about, I take it upon my shoulders and find a lane and go. And, just to make it hard for people. And so it's definitely something I'm conscious about. It's definitely something I'm trying to do and get as many yards as I can.
The one critique I would have from this game is red zone offense. We got to get the ball in the end zone. When you're kicking field goals, you're allowing the other team to stay in the game. And we allowed Denver to stay in this football game by settling for field goals. I'm almost at the point to where if we can get them backed up, if we're on the goal line, if we're on the 5-yard line and it's 4th down, I don't care. Go for it. You got to go for it until we finally prove that we can punch the ball in there. So we got to stop settling for field goals. Field goals will get you beat. And that's something that they're going to have to work on. They have got to punch it in once they hit the red zone. They got to get it in the end zone. We need touchdowns because you're about to go up against a team in the Kansas City Chiefs that they're not going to be settling for field goals. They're going to be scoring touchdowns. You're going to have to put about 40 points on the board if you want to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a good game, but we're going to have to put some points on the board. Field goals are not going to win this game on Monday night. I can tell you that right now. So that's something they need to work on. And of course, we'll talk more about the Chiefs-Raiders game on Monday night coming up throughout the week as things continue to develop. But I also want to give credit to that defense on Sunday. The defense played lights out. Second half, they only gave up 7 points. They did their thing. They gave 7 points. They've just been playing lights out. Other than that game against the Cardinals, that second half against the Cardinals, they have been lights out in the second half of football games. That means they're going in there. Patrick Graham is making those adjustments at halftime. And whatever he's doing, it's working. They can continue to play like that in the second half and show up in the first half. This Raider defense is going to be strong. We're going to need a real strong effort from them on Monday night. Like I said, we'll get to that a little bit later. But look, Russell Wilson was the trigger man on the other side for the Denver Broncos. He was 17 of 25, 237 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And the Raiders defense was all over me. They sacked him 3 times for minus 23 yards. He had a QBR rating of 50.7. They held Jerry Jeudy in check. Jerry Jeudy only had 4 receptions for 53 yards. He had a touchdown, and Sutton had one as well. Sutton had 5 receptions, 52 yards. Wilson hit 10 different receivers on the day, but he only had 237. Raiders did a really good job. Devon Diablo had 8 total tackles, 3 solo in this game. Denzel Perryman, 5 total tackles, 4 solo. He went out with a concussion in the second, late in the first half, I believe, so we'll have to keep a lookout on him to see his availability. Max Crosby had him a game, 4 tackles, 4 solo, 2 sacks on the day. Nate Hobbs had another sack. So yeah, they got the Russell Wilson, got him uncomfortable and got him in the dirt a little bit. The Raiders are now 1-3. Let's not lose sight of how important this game was because 1-3 looks a whole lot better than 0-4. If you're 0-4, you got the Chiefs coming up next. Yeah, that would have been an easy way to go into the bye week at 0-5 and you can lose a football team there. You're talking about switching coaches. You're talking about all kinds of different things happening, but they got it done. And Derek Carr says the team responded. Nobody hung their head. Everybody just continued to do their job, work on things to make themselves better, which resulted in the team persevering through all the adversity to get the first victory.
I was really proud of our guys all 3 weeks that, sure, there was one play at the end that may have done this or one play here that did that, but everyone was like, forget that, man, I got 6 things to clean up. It's on me, And our whole team was doing that, and that's just a recipe for a good culture in the locker room. There's no pointing fingers or anything like that, and we responded well and finally got our first win. That feels good.
So again, the Raiders are 1-3 heading into the Week 5 matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs, of course, 3-1 on the season, leading the AFC West. This is going to be interesting, but we're going to look more into that game later on in the week because we got to, process this victory. a little bit more. And then later on in the week, we'll start to look forward to Kansas City and see what that matchup is going to be like on Monday night. But again, great effort from the Raiders this week. Now you got to try to do it again. Now you got to try to move forward and do it again. You got a huge game against Kansas City. So looking forward to that one. We'll talk much more about that later on in the week. We'll also talk some more college football, check in on Jackson State as they get ready for Alabama State this weekend coming up. But that's it for today's episode of the Sports Hype right here on the Sports Hype Media Network. Until next time, I'm Walter Thompson.
You're listening to the Sports Hype, a part of the Sports Hype Media Network.